Hey guys, it's Vanity Ezel back at another Card Fight Vanguard Ezel on the Vanity Weekly Reveal. So if you guys enjoyed, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, donate to the Patreon, and let's get one started. You know what it is. As per usual, I'm recording this a few days in advance because we always know my Tuesdays are always busy as hell, and I cannot do all like the reveals all in one day, so we're splitting these up. So let's go ahead and get this started, because so far we have some pretty decent cards, and I have no idea what we're getting on Tuesday, but for some reason I'm having the feeling it's going to be something really good. So let's go ahead and get this started. First up, we have cards for Stoicheia, Diver of the Deep Sea, 9k base, 5k shield, Great Tooth Intercept, auto when it's placed on Vanity rear or put onto guard circle, Soul Blast 1, discard an order from your hand, draw a card, and this unit gets plus 5k power, 5k shield for the turn. So interesting, now we have another grade 2 for Ride Lines, and it looks like it's for Zorga, which is really interesting. I still think Husk is better because, you know, Husk doesn't require Zorga, get you an order back from drop, but still this is really good because, you know, early grade 2 rush, 14k swinger, you're not really losing a hand card, and it's a possible 10k shield during your opponent's turn. All around, definitely something I would consider running in a deck, so, because it's, you know, not that big of a cost. I'll give it like a 3 of or a 4 of. Next up, we have Maddened Tuner, 8k base, 5k shield, grade 1 with boost. Continues rear if your drop and bind zone have a total of 5 or more order cards in them. This unit gets plus 5k. So it's a 13k if you, during both players' turns, by the way, if you have 5 or more in total between the two. So really easy to do because this deck mills out orders Zorga and Iron Anchor respectively. I mean, Zorga does it faster, but still, to get a lot of orders and drop really quickly and get them in bind really quickly. Like, it's just all around an easy experience to do. So this automatically hits 13. If you're doing it the way my friend does, or what most Zorga players do, you could probably hit that 13k before first grade 3 turn, or maybe like right as you hit first grade 3 turn. Either way, Maddened Tuner is definitely a good card to consider if you're going for that early rush power. I say 3 copies. Next up, we have Desired Devil Bessie, 10k base, 5k shield, Great Tooth Intercept, act rear. If you have 5 or more units, counterblast 1. Choose one of your vanguards and it gets plus 5 for the turn. If you're damaged on 6 cards, it gets plus 15 instead of 5. So, if you have 5 units, that includes the vanguard. It has to be, so 5 or more units. So you either have a full field of 6, including the vanguard, or you just have like this, 3 other rear guards and the vanguard. Your vanguard gets plus 5, so it's like an 18k, presumably because it's for greed on, of course. And if you have 6 damage cards exactly, which means you have to be on greed on and you have to have at least a copy of greed on soul for you to die at 7, your vanguard automatically becomes a plus 15 instead of a plus 5, so 28 without the effect of Bushuku, the grade 2, but assumably there's at least 1 in soul, so probably you're at 33 at the very least. So that's the all-around is really good, gets you power for a very cheap cost, and it's very easy to pull off. I give it a 3 of, because, like, you know, we do have a decent amount of counterblasters now, so I'm not really completely into running him, but I'm not against running him either, so I'll give him a 3 of. Next up, we have Desired Devil Garmets, 13k base, grade 3 turn Persona Ride, act rear once per turn if your vanguard is Avarice, Demonic Dragon, Greed on, counterblast 1 and discard a card from your hand, choose a grade 3 less card from your soul, call it to rear. So literally call anything from your soul. Now, you would effectively just call this and pull out a field from it, so you can, you know, abuse the crap out of Greed on. Except, my only problem with this is, if you're planning on that, you might as well just kind of call from hand, because, yeah, this has probably more power than the things you would discard, but at the same time, I feel like you kind of want the more shield and greed on, and you just be losing the Soul Blast that you probably Soul Blast for a greed on anyways, followed by, you could just call the cards that you're discarding. So, I see why they made this, because, you know, it's like a more powerful basis of, like, what you would call, but, like, there's no reason to run this is what I'm getting at, so I'm going to give it a hard 3 of, 2 of, if you choose to run it. I know I won't choose to run this, but it's still an okay card if you want to run it. Next up, we have... Okay, let me just say this. I really hated Bruce when they took away Baron Magnus's Triple Rare. Like, I'm not saying I don't like Bruce, and I really like that Triple Rare for Bruce, but I was really upset because Bruce should not have gotten that Triple Rare. Baron Magnus deserved it. They just got scrapped from that. Even though, yes, they could use some greed on support, it wasn't really good support for them, considering, like, how much of it used Counterblast. Yeah, Baron Magnus. Whew. We have, like, 4 cards for Baron Magnus specifically now, and they're all really good. So, I mean, especially these two that I'm about to go over. So first up, we have Violet Phantom Butterfly Fanju, AK base, 5k shield, grade 1 boost. Auto when it's placed on rear if you have 5 or more units. So, okay, well, maybe this is not for Barrel Magnus specifically, but still. So, you know, your Vanguard and maybe, yeah, your Vanguard, this, and 3 other units at the very least. Counterblast 1, you may soul charge 3. Then, if you have 10 or more cards in your soul, choose a Vanguard, it gets plus 5. So, you know, if you're on Barrel Magnus or you're on Greedon, they're 18Ks now, and it's a way to just get a Soul Charge 3, making it so that Greedon's plus 15 ability when it restands and Soul Blast 2 fodder goes off a lot easier, and now the Vanguard for Barrel Magnus gets closer to his 15 soul count, and both of them, you know, counterblast-wise. Like, Barrel Magnus maybe gets slightly less out of this, but this is still a really good card. I can see Barrel Magnus decks using this, especially if they have like a good amount of like hand cards to work with it. In the Barrel Magnus deck, I give this a 2 of because you don't want to throw out too much hand cards, but at the same time, I give this like a 3 of in maybe 3 of or maybe just 2 of again in Greedon, because Greedon is getting more counterblast cards, and that soul I guess does help them reach the 10 soul quicker for the 15. But at the same time, the deck is the deck gets a lot of soul quickly enough now to where I feel like you don't need it for Greedon. So I'm going to give this a 2 of to both of them. Next up, we have Oriental Haze Rapture. This is straight up for Barrel Magnus because it specifies grade 3 200 Persona Right, 13k base, act rear once per turn. If your Vanguard is Master of Gravity Barrel Magnus, put a hand card to soul. Until end of turn, all of your front row units get plus 10. And if you have 10 or more cards in your soul, they get plus 10 instead of plus 5. Okay, last time I said that we had found the replacement for Phantasmagoria Boy, and that was with a D grade. Yeah, so this does it better because... 1, they're both grade 3s, so while D grade was like getting an extra 5k shield out of it, this one does it for free. Both of the other ones costed a counterblast for it. This one only costs you a hand card, and can actually get you more power out of it. So, I'm running this at 4. Listen, Curtis, Phantasmagoria Boy, we've had a good long run together. You know, you soul charging 2 all those times mandatorily, decking me out on several occasions. You know, dude, we've had some good times, but your time has come. We have 2 new cards that does your job so much better than you do. I'm sorry, Curtis. I don't want to. No, Curtis, no, come back. Ah! Oh, if I knew how to edit, I would. If I knew how to edit, I would show you what I was doing. But yeah, Rapture is a really good grade 3, and I like it. It's amazing. 4 of. I'm replacing Curtis with this. Next up, we have Oh, I accidentally skipped a few. What the heck? Oh, there we go. I'm lost. Okay, there we go. Next up, we have Cardinal Draco Masria. 13k base, grade 3 200 Persona Ride. Act rear, retire Shadow Army token until end of turn. This unit gets plus 10. And if this is the 3rd time you activate this ability this turn, it gets plus 1 crit for the turn. So, here's the thing about this. This is not a once per turn. You can use this as much as you want. You can technically use this 5 times. You can use it 10 times. You can use it infinity amount of times as long as you have Shadow Army tokens to retire, which means it constantly gets that plus 10. But the thing is, it's only during that 3rd time you will get that crit. You do it during the 4th time, no. 2nd time, no. 5th time, no. It's only the 3rd time you will get that crit. Either way, it's still really good because you get that 10k and a crit. And if you do it the 3 times, this thing's a 43 with double crit, so automatically they want to guard that. But then you also have your Restander over there, and then you have the Vanguard. Masria, really good card, 3 of, or 4 of maybe. I prefer not to run it because I don't want to sack my Shadow Army tokens like that. But, yeah, because I normally have trouble with like the resource spamming. So I'll give him a 2 of if I choose to run him. If you guys want to run him, 3 of or 4 of. Next up, we have Cardinal Negrita. 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept. Continuous rear, your Shadow Army tokens can't be chosen by opponent's card effects, and they cannot be retired by their card effects. Basically meaning the only way they can kill them is by swinging into them. Okay, automatically this thing is really good, but I normally have my field fold up with like... The Shadow Army tokens do disappear after like the grade 2 that can retire 3 of them to restand itself, but that happens during the battle phase, and normally the last rear guard circle is either taken up by another Shadow Army token or by Alva Dread to retire stuff. So I don't see me calling this, but still it's really good. So if you choose to run it, 2 or 3 of. To continue, we have Twin Chain Great Magic, Totone, 13k base, grade 3 200 Persona Ride. Finally, another support grade 3 for Hexor. We had the counter charger / soul charger. We may have had something in set 3, but I don't really remember it, so it probably wasn't that important. Now we have another card, which is something really good. Auto rear at the end of the battle that your unit attacked, counterblast 1 and perform all the following effects according to the trigger units revealed during the drive check. Critical, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and put it to bottom. Front, choose one of your Grade 2 or less rear guards and stand it. That is really good, because that immediately means front trigger is not only just giving plus 10 to the front row, but getting you a stand. So if you call it a Grade 2, because you can't stand this unfortunately, but if you call it a Grade 2, you can re-stand that Grade 2 and keep swinging with it. And because at the end of battle, if you pulled the over trigger, because it doesn't have to be end of the battle for your vanguard, it's just at the end of battle of a unit, if you pulled your over trigger, this thing becomes really good. And the best part is it doesn't even have to be used in Hex Orb, it just does best in Hex Orb. So you get to do what Gear Chronicle does and send something back, you get to just turn fronts into stands. All around, really powerful card. And I believe, even though the effect only activates once per cost that you use it for, if you use the cost multiple times, if you can, I'm pretty sure I'm wrong on this, but if I am right, you could restand multiple units at once. I'm not exactly sure. I know for sure though that it's just counterblast 1, either send something to the bottom, get a stand out of it, or both. All around, amazing Grade 3, really good support for Hex Orb. Like, they're making a comeback with Eugene Hex Orb. 4 of, 3 of, none of the less. Next up, we have a Longing Magic Ethnono, 10k base, 5k shield, Grade 2 with intercept. Auto rear once per turn when this unit attacks. If your vanguard is Hex Orb Sorceress or Pentagleam Sorceress, discard a card from your hand, look at top 2, choose up to 2 of them, put them on the top in any order, and put the rest on the bottom if this unit gets plus 10 for the turn. So automatically it's a 20k swing as long as you use the skill, which is automatically really good. And granted, it's once per turn, so you can't combo with this, but that automatically is really good. Followed by, in my opinion, this is the best deck stacker of all of them, because the other ones require Soul Blast, Counter Blast, all types of cost. This one is only a discard, and you still get to check the top 2 and either put them to top or bottom. All around, Ethnono is really good. Like, they made this a common. In my opinion, this should be a double rare. Like, both of these are really good, but I feel like this should be the double rare, because that is, in my opinion, like a free top 2, because in a deck that gets hand cards really easily, or like can at least, or in my opinion, Hex Orb gets it really easily, or at least in a deck that can like destroy your opponent's hand, or like get rid of a lot of guarding power and then build up to where they cannot outpower you unless they're playing like a full-on power deck that doesn't require hand cards such as Orfist. The deck is really good, especially with that like discard cost all around. Amazing Grade 2. The only reason why I have not shoved into my Hex Orb deck yet is because I do not know who I want to get rid of. And the even better part about this, it can attack a rear guard. It doesn't have to attack a vanguard. So once more, the only reason why this isn't in my Hex Orb deck yet is because I literally haven't decided who I want to scrap for it. Because, oh my god, that is so incredibly good. 4 of. Next up, we have Diabolos Striker Lyle, 10k base, 5k shield, Grade 2 with intercept, our double rare for Bruce. Auto, when it's placed on rear, counterblast 1 and it gets plus 5 for the turn. Then if you're on final rush, soul charge 2 and choose a card from your soul and call it an open rear guard circle. Okay, so interesting. Very interesting, because it's a counterblast 1. It gets plus 5, so it's a 15. So it has what all the other triple rare Grade 2s. You know, maybe, okay, I know why they're not getting a triple rare Grade 2, because the Evolved Bruce is going to be their triple rare. But if they have another triple rare Grade 2, and its skill is it gets plus 5 if it's in final rush, then they take that from every Grade 2, because literally every Grade 2 so far has had that ability, or like every like dope triple rare Grade 2 has had that ability where it gets plus 5 if you're in final rush, and then maybe an additional effect like Leonard has it can kill a column, Eden has if it stands, it gets a crit during the turn as well, and the only one that didn't have it was Daryl, but Daryl had like the Eugene ability. This doesn't get the 5k unless you place it that turn, but at the same time, you get a Soul Charge 2 out of it, and you can call something. So, a way to progress the board and a way to increase your soul. And you don't have to call some. Actually, yes, you do, because it says choose a card. And, interesting card. Definitely interesting. I'm not so sure if I want to run it, though, because, in my opinion, this is a battle between Daryl and this thing here. Because Daryl, it gets rid of your opponent's field, and it can Soul Charge you more. But the problem is, it decks you out quicker. And it requires a rear guard. I mean, it can also put himself to soul, but still, to use. This just has to be placed, but it gets you less soul, but it might get you, like, a better unit, because maybe, like, there's something in soul you wanted, and Daryl might not get you what you want out of the top 5. So I could see reasons to run both. I can see reasons to run neither. I like all the Grade 2s. My lineup most likely will be 3, 3, 3, 3, 1, and the 1 being, obviously, Richard. And if that doesn't work, I might lower this and Eden down to 2, or Daryl down to 2 with them. Because I can see I want to run all of them because they're all really good, but I don't know who I want to run. Like Leonard, I'm keeping at 4 or if not 3. So I'm going to go with a weird lineup, see what happens. Lyle is an interesting card. I would love to see other people's opinion on this. I give it a 3 or 2 of in my deck because I don't know how I want to work with it. That's my thing. Now, on to today's main reveals. We have Flagburg support. And now, like how Barrel Magnus became good with 4 new cards, Flagburg got 2 new cards. One that immediately replaced Creed Assault, because Creed Assault was only when it swung and you required a stand out of it. This one gets the even amount of power for Creed Assault, followed by if it restands, it could swing for... No, it gets the same amount of power if it restands, but it's a lot easier to use than Creed Assault. So, first up we have Heavy Strike Brave Shooter, 10k base, 5k shield, Great Tooth Intercept, auto rear when this unit attacks. If your Vanguard's Flagburg, it gets +5 for the turn. So, really good, and it's for the turn, by the way. So he automatically swings for 15, but he keeps it. So if you restand him, because maybe you targeted him with high rate Dragon Skill, you know, the one that's counterblast 1, soul one placed. If your Vanguard's Flagburg, give another unit the ability counterblast 1, soul blast 1. If it's the first battle of that turn, restand it. If you give that to this thing, it's a 20k swing. Already better than effing Creed Assault over there. 3 or 4 of. Because why not? It really is good, especially if you restand it through other means. Like, guaranteed, even if it's not like amazing here, shove this in premium. This thing would do work. I promise you that. 3 over 4 of. And then we have our triple rare for Flagburg, which is Blue Artillery Dragon Inlet Pulse Dragon, 13k base, grade 3 turn jet persona ride, auto rear at the end of the battle that attacked, a grade 3 or greater Vanguard if it was the first battle of that turn, and if your Vanguard's Flagburg Dragon, soul blast 1, stand it, auto rear at the end of your turn. If your total attacks for 4 or more this turn, shove to soul, draw a card. So, it basically refunds its cost, gets you a draw, and the only downside to this thing, and it's not even that big of a deal, is that it requires the opponent's Vanguard to be a grade 3 or greater. So, if you're going first, it's a turn 4 deck, because, you know, the other ones always cost, like, to use Flagburg, you needed 2 Counterblast and, no, it was either 3 or 2 Counterblast and 3 or 2 Soul Blast. It depended on, I forgot which one it was, but it's between those. And now, it's a lot easier to pull off because you don't need as much Counterblast. You do take up more Soul. I mean, technically you're not taking up that much Soul at all, considering all you need is 4 attacks, and this gets you 2 of them if it swings first. That means you just need the Vanguard, which is 3, have any other rearguard swing, and you can just refund its cost. All around, this thing's really good. Like, I was worried about Flagburg because I really loved Flagbirds. I love the idea behind it. I love that Aquaforce was returning. But set 3 was just so boring with how they did Flagburg. Like, I guess it makes sense because it was its first set where it had the vanilla plays because all you would see is the same thing over and over again. But you would also just have such much resource loss, and Creed Assault literally did nothing to fix it. Creed Assault was the worst idea Bushy ever made. As much as okay, in terms of D standard wise, until we get something better that can restand another rear guard high rate, if Creed Assault was the worst thing they could have done, they fixed that with just 2 cards in set 3, and they released all the Flagburg support at once. So if they had 1 or 2 more cards, they probably could have fixed Creed Assault over there. So Inlet, honestly, amazing grade 3. I love the ever-living crap out of this thing. I'm really glad it's here because it fixed Flagburg's. I'm not going to say it fixed all of its problems, but it fixed the problem that I hated the most. And so did this, which is just running Creed Assault in general, but also having a bit too much cost problem. 4 of. And we have a bit more reveals. First up, I said this as a joke, by the way. I literally said 3 weeks ago, I wish they would give draw trigger skills. And then I proceeded to say, the first sentence I did say was, I wish they had skills like the front triggers that had extra shield, so there a reason to run draw triggers. I'm pretty sure I said it in a deck profile. If I didn't, then I said it in a pre-recording of the deck profile where the camera must have glitched. I said it as a joke, Bushy. I don't know how you figured it out. I don't know how you heard this, unless you're like my computer, which can somehow pick up what I say and then put it in my YouTube recommendation list. But they did it. They made draw triggers with the front trigger skill. We have Flame Veiled Dragon for Dragon Empire, Rouse Wildmaster Riley for Dark States, Armorelete Connector for Brantgate, Protection Magic Proby for Kier Sanctuary, and Serene Maiden Lena for Stoicheia. It continues, Guard Circle. If your opponent's Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater, gets plus 5k shield. Now, I said it as a joke, because I didn't want them to remake the skill and then just give it to draws. Yes, this makes draws more useful, but at the same time, I hate them for this. Solely because, and like I said it as a joke before, because draw triggers, in my opinion, are like the perfect discard fodder. Like, I'm pretty sure if you were to ask anyone, like out of anyone, for like what do they normally discard? If you were to give them a set hand and one of them was a draw trigger, and you would ask them, what would you discard for your right deck? They would most like, or just discard fodder in general, they'd most likely say discard fodder. Like, for the draw trigger. Solely because the draw trigger had no value to it. It had the same shield as grade 1s and 0s. It has the same shield as grade 1s, had lower shield than the triggers. There had no skill, except in G, but that's not important. There's no point in having them on the board unless you just, like, Nirvana them on there, or, like, you call from top deck and they were among them. So, they would be perfect discard fodder. There was no thinking about it. You would not lose anything of great importance. Now, things like that could backlash your decisions, because now you have a 10k shield. Which, granted, is really good in the gameplay aspect, because that means, you can guard with more if your hand gets cluttered with draw triggers, and especially in decks that might run more draw triggers than others, that's really good, especially in Magnolia. I can consider you, like, running a lot of draw triggers because of this now. But my main problem with this, and that it's just like a personal down-to-play thing, or maybe it's not just a personal down-to-play thing, but like an overall aspect of how players think. A lot of games now are going to end up being where you either discard a playmaker or discard a draw trigger. Before, it was just discard a draw trigger, because there was no reason to discard your playmaker over 5k shield vanilla. Now, it's discard a playmaker or discard a 10k shield that could save your ass. Because I cannot tell you how many times I've seen and played in games where where that 5k shield would have made the difference. Like, I can recall a few that ended up on camera. So, as much as I like this, I am very, like, not disappointed, but questioning why just copy the skill. Any other skill, like, even if it was just the old shove to soul, something gets +3, which is technically the crits, but somewhat similar, I still would have feel like that would have been better. But it's fine. It's interesting. I'll give them that. They did give draw triggers more shield. People complain. I know some people complain about draw triggers getting more shield, so I will give them that. They do listen. In my personal opinion, I just don't like it, but that's my opinion. You all have your own opinion. We're all equal on that. And then our last two little bit reviews are the Lyrical Monasterio, how we have information on the new set, which I believe is called New Semester Start with a question mark, exclamation mark. So we have two new ride lines getting support, which is Mimi Fortia and New Generation Beauty and Mirina. This looks like a grade 1. This looks like a grade 2. I just want to say that. But, so we got two new ride lines. Fair enough, fair enough. I'm interested to what they do. This looks like it came straight... like, if you showed me this without telling me the name, because I literally thought this morning when I saw these, this is just going to be, like, the new Ernest Correct unit, and this is going to be, like, the new Felt Rosa or Mermaid unit, or even Warbeast, because I can see the tail right here. So, like, support for maybe, what was it called? Not Felt Rosa, but... I forgot his name. Laurenal. There we go. Laurenal support. But apparently there are two new ride lines. So we'll see where those go. As for this, we have knowledge of new effect triggers. Because, yeah, they are giving Bermuda effect triggers. That was a big deal breaker for some people. Here, they're giving us the front that has the 5k shield. They're giving us the draw that has the 5k shield. They're giving us the crit that has the shove to soul get +2. It's Precious Gem Edweige. There's Cleary Snowy Night Beretoa and Snowy Skip Parvi. If I'm correct, this is the front by just looking at the backgrounds. This is the... Actually, no. This is the draw. This is the front. This is the crit. This is a mermaid. This comes from the Dragon Girls, or Felt Rosa, because sometimes Felt Rosa had demon eyes mixed into them. And this one is Laurenal. I'm not saying any of that matters. I'm just saying, like, if you're me, where you're only going to run them in the archetype or, like, typing of the deck, then that's how it's going to end up being. That's a hint to what's going to happen. So, yeah. That was the 6 reveals. I'm going to end it here. I hope you guys enjoyed. I do want to hear your guys' opinion on this. Do you like the new Flagburg stuff? Do you like the new... Do you think Baromat's going to do good now that they actually have some good support? What do you think about the draw triggers? Are you disappointed as well that, like, they didn't give them something unique, that they just gave them the front trigger skills? Are you glad they gave them that? Are you not glad they gave them it? Are you excited for the new lyrical stuff? If so, why? What do you think they're going to do? Etc, etc. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join the Patreon, join the Discord, follow the Twitch, and I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to stand up your vanguards.